One of the most important things in life for a Christian is to have the proper view of God. And this is a very important thing because God is the greatest thought that ever enters the human mind. And I often say, just in my lack of having a better explanation for it, is that when you have a view of God, it should be a constantly outgoing funnel, expanding more as you walk through the Christian life. And one of the things about your view of God is actually how much control does God have over this world? How much is just happening by chance? How much is God involved in? How much does He orchestrate the events of life? That's something that's always been fascinating to me. And there's a particular portion of Scripture I'd like to share with you from the Psalms. It's from Psalm 75. And in this Psalm, there's a couple of verses that have always caught my attention because it talks about man, and think of your positions in life through the century of man, from the history of man. And it says in this particular verse, starting in verse 6, it says, "No one," I point that out, "no one from the east or from the west or from the desert can exalt a man. But it is God who judges. He brings down one and He exalts another." Now, think of this verse, if you will, for a minute. And it starts off with no one from any direction, east, west, south, the desert, any direction. No one can exalt a man, lift a man up, promote a man, put him in a higher position. No one can do that. And then it says, but it is God who judges. He makes determinations. And it says He brings down one and He exalts another. Now let those words sink in for just a minute, because what it's telling us here is that God is in absolute control of the positions in life that we hold. Wherever you are in life right now, at what age you're at, what organizations you're involved in, your family, the sports world, the political world, the business world, whatever it is, all of these things are carefully controlled by God. And so therefore, obviously to the Christian, we say, well, we know that God. That God is our Father, and He loves us, and He cares for us, and He's involved in us, and actually I have an audience and ability to talk to Him. Well, what a benefit that is. And I want to tell you that the bigger your God is as a Christian, the greater life can be. Because the last thing you want is a God that's so small that He really can't do much about it, or He's not interested, so He's not involved in the details of your life. And I'm telling you from this Scripture, it says no one can exalt the man. Every position, whether it be in the lowest rank of amateur sports to the highest political position in the world, or any business position in between, God controls all that. And there's no clearer way to go than if I take you to, obviously, to the book of Romans, and there's many places we could go, but to the book of Romans in chapter 13, again you come to the application of the doctrine of the earlier chapters, up through chapter 11, and you come to the application. We get to chapter 13, it talks about this very thing. It talks about the authority structure in this world that God has put in place. Let me just read a couple verses from Romans chapter 13. It starts off similar. It says, everyone, think of that word, everyone must submit himself to governing authorities. For there is no authority except which God has established. And then he goes on to say, the authorities that exist have been established by God. Now think of that. Isn't that wonderful to think that our God controls all authority? Now, one thing you immediately want to say, well, what about all the unjust authority? What about all the evil men that are in positions of authority? And let me tell you something. There is no just authority in this earth. There is no perfect organization. There is no perfect family. There's no perfect father, no perfect mother. We all have failures. We're all corrupted to a degree. Different degrees of corruption, yes. But in all of that, even through the evil things of this world, God controls everything. And He's in absolute charge of these things. When you come down to verse 4, it tells us about this one that He puts in authority, these different layers of authority that He establishes. It says, for He is God's servant, talking about the one in authority, to do good. The authorities in place are God's instrument. He works through them to accomplish His purposes. For He is God's servant to do good. But if someone does wrong, be afraid, for He does not bear the sword for nothing. In this particular context, he's talking about governments and authority from a governmental position. But He does not bear the sword for nothing. He is God's servant, an agent of wrath to bring punishment on wrongdoers. And it's a very interesting, as you look at the purpose of authority as established here, and also it's mentioned in the epistles, there's a reason why God puts authority in place. The authority is to hold down evil and reward good. That's the purpose of authority. Isn't that what a mother does? She holds down evil and she rewards a child for good. Isn't that what a teacher does in a classroom? Isn't that what a boss does in the business place? That's the role of proper authority. And even though authority may not be right all the time, even though they may have wicked hearts, God is big enough and powerful enough to work through that authority to accomplish his purposes. So I say to you today, think of this. No one is promoted. Your position in life cannot change. No man can lift you up. It is God that does those things. For he puts one man down and he raises another man up. What a wonderful blessing to think that God that loves us, who gave his life for us, is absolutely controlling and involving the events that we have to face every day in this world. I hope this scripture is an encouragement to you. It is to me. May God bless you.